Tēnā koutou katoa, kia ora e te iwi ko Jay Wilson tēnei, from Te Pai Pai Waho, e mihi atu ana, kia ora everybody. Yeah, good to connect in tonight. As I said, it's Jay Wilson here connecting to you through a number of platforms and continuing the sessions on MARAE 101, and specifically tonight covering a bit of kōrero about Papa Kāinga. Nā reira e me I kau atu ana ki koutou o tira ki tātou. Ana ko maru aonui tērā e arāke ana. Ko maru oki e tō atu ana. Nā runga anō I tērā koe nei te timatango ngā pōroa. Ngā pōroa puanga. Nā reira tēnā koutou. Kia ora katoa tātou. So kia ora everybody. As I said, I'll be talking about Papa Kāinga tonight. And so you got the pā, the marae, and Papa Kāinga is often the place where the houses are. In some marae, they might have one house, a couple of houses, or they may have a development where there are a few houses that have been established. And so when it comes to Papa Kāinga, well, let's break down the word first. Papa, that's ground. Kāinga is translated as a home, but it originates from the place where you burn your fire, kia kākā te ahi. And where you burn your fire is where you cook your food, where you gain warmth. So it's about sustenance and survival. Kia ora e nika. And when I think about sustenance and survival, it's the place that you can then rest your head and call home. I suppose what I wanted to cover with the Papa Kāinga is because there's a heap of people wanting to, they've got this romantic idea of a Papa Kāinga, but with the Papa Kāinga, are there expectations? So if you're going to stay or build on a Papa Kāinga, does that mean that you have to be at every hui at that marae? Tikanga would say yes, and mindful that we don't work in a tikanga space, so we will often have to go to work when some things are on, but it's about how you contribute to that place. Also remembering you're gaining a benefit from living at that place and others aren't. And because others aren't, what's fair? So there's all these different things. There's those that have had Kāinga there for decades and or forever. And so it's just navigating all of those different things, and especially when you bring new Papa Kāinga or build new houses on and around the marae. There's all these legal, technical things around Papa Kāinga as well. So you usually have to have a license to occupy, and some will go, I don't believe in that rubbish. Well, it's just what it is. And so you just got to navigate that. And as you navigate it, you just make sure that you keep your paperwork. And as you navigate it, there just needs to be fair processes, because what it does do is it protects you later on, but also it just makes sure that decisions aren't made to favour one over another. One of the beautiful things, though, with Papa Kāinga, especially if it's on a marae that hasn't had homes around it, is by having somebody on the marae, it gives the marae life, and you'll start to potter around the marae to beautify it, to care for it. And you see the results of that. And I know there's a marae in Wanganui that's definitely seeing the results of that in town, from the return of whānau back to that marae. The other component around Papa Kāinga is those people keep the fires burning. And when you're on the Papa Kāinga, it's a bit difficult to dodge, though some still do. But as they do, But as they do live there, they are the ahika. I generally avoid that term ahika, simply because all of this academic stuff around the different types of ahi, ahi mātau and all of that, I just don't think it's helpful as we try and describe our connections to place. You know, there are people who technically fit into the ahika category, and I probably, here in Hamilton, go to the marae more than them. And so I just think it's not helpful that we have put these descriptors as we try and describe our connection. But by having a whānau member living on your whānau land, it does help rebuild a connection as well. On the opposite, people can tell you go away, and then you feel like you've been cut. What's important is that the marae never tells you to go away. But often people take that hurt and that pain out on the marae. And so they don't go back to the marae, when actually the marae never tells you to go away. It's people that tell you to go away. And I think one other thing you've got to understand is that when you do have papa kāinga and you're living close to each other, all these different dynamics happen. And you've got all of these ones who are romantic, and if they can manage the dynamics, then that's great, but many can't. And so you get all of these dynamics that happen at the papa kāinga. Oh, they bloody did this, and oh, they bloody did that. I seriously think it's worth having some guidelines for people when you're establishing new papa kāinga to live by. But you also have to be fair and consistent so that our Western views of stuff, then this is my house, anything under my roof is my rules, when actually the essence of a papa kāinga is about collective support, collective living, and how we care for each other. Notwithstanding, there are always human dynamics. So I just thought I'd talk about papa kāinga because there's some awesome papa kāinga that have been built, and have been privileged enough to go and have a look at some amazing examples of papa kāinga. But just set yourself some really sensible rules, and as you set those rules, be fair and consistent on how those rules are applied. And don't avoid the hard conversation, just be straight up. Hey, that's not right what you did. So kātiake, mindful that e nui ngā mate, te kaua kei te kite atu au i a koe, te hawatanga ki tō pāpā, o tira ki ngā mate katoa. E takutumu aki, e te pāpā, e are, ko kōrua, ko anaru, o tira ko koutou, ko anti kahu, tāpiata, koutou ki koutou, e moe, rukuti atu rā i te maruroa o maru, kime i atu rā i ngā pōroa o puanga, e moe, e oki. Oki tonu mai ki a tātou te kaupapa tangata. Great to see everybody on. Tēnā koutou, pō mārire.